you climb over on the software, the entertainment side, you sort of go from what I'd call primitive black and white kind of boxy stuff to the point where you now are creating pretty realistic objects. There was sort of the ball and paddle game phase of the marketplace, then there was the driving game phase, which is continuing on. And then you got into a point in time where there were these object games, these puzzle games, like Pac-Man and Centipede, and some of these old wonderful classics that in which you were sort of gathering and packing and chasing and running and everything against time. Then there was this other thread that was sort of starting at the same time on the computers, which was probably started by Colossal Cave, and that was the role-playing, game-playing, action-adventure, where you were actually in a long-form game. This is a game where you can play for days and days and days. And I actually think that was a very important milestone that which has really spawned the Mists and Ribbons and a lot of the other genres that have been popularized by Sierra and some of the other games like companies like that. On the action-adventure side, the arcades have always been very good because they had good user interfaces. The home game side has always been plagued with bad user interfaces and not nearly as good. I mean, it's not as much fun to play a driving game with a joystick than it is to have a steering wheel and a gear shift and a gas pedal. And so that's, you're starting to get that more and more available in the home, but it comes at a price. I think that the home game and the console games and then the divergence of the computer side was also another very important part, because the computer allowed for a lot more creativity, because programmers could, without a huge budget, come up with something that was really wonderful in the computer environment, where it was much more difficult on the home game side, because the manufacturers are always creating huge barriers to entry because they want to control the marketplace. And so I believe that we have much richer and more powerful games, and the game space is more interesting in the computer side because of that freedom. I think it's wonderful that the power today allows you to totally emulate the things that were very difficult to do many, many years ago. And so that it gives access to anyone. These games which, like fine wine in old bottles or classics, whether it be music or others, I believe that some of these games are classics and will continue to have play value forever. And I think that like so many times in the movie field, and that sometimes the emulation is a step, but then there's a chance for sequels in which you take the basic gameplay and upgrade it to the current market standard of color and sound and what have you. My favorite game of all time? Go. I mean, it's, I played #2 board for the University of Utah at chess, and the minute I discovered Go, my fascination with chess left. And it's just a wonderfully rich and powerful game, and I still think it's one of those classics that it cannot be beaten in terms of richness and excitement. The 4004, which is the Intel first microprocessor, was so slow. I mean, it was the first one, and it couldn't possibly have run a video game. And I think that it was invented just a couple of years after. But there wasn't a single microprocessor in a coin-operated video game until 1975, 76. So we built a lot of video games in the interim. And these were all state machines.